Welcome back to Law and Crime Daily. We go now to Mississippi, where a disturbing story is getting a lot of attention. A man missing since last fall was found dead with his head severed from his body. That's according to an independent autopsy released by his family. Despite apparently brutal injuries at the time Rasheem Carter's body was found, the sheriff's department said no foul play was suspected. The Carter family is now asking for a federal probe into the investigation. Carter's mother says Rasheem told her he was being targeted by white men in the community. Then, just days later, he went missing. According to the family's attorney, Ben Crump, Carter's head was removed and his spinal cord was found in a different area. Some of his body parts are reportedly still missing. The Mississippi State Medical Examiner's report states that the conditions of the remains make it difficult to pinpoint the time of death. The report lists both the cause and manner of death as undetermined.
This was a nefarious act. This was an evil act. Somebody murdered Rasheem Carter. And we cannot let them get away with this.
On October the 1st, my son texted me. This was after him and I had gotten off the phone. He said, me and the owner of this company not seeing eye to eye, Mama. His name, which I can't say at this time, but if anything happened to me, he's responsible for it. I'm too smart, Mama. He got these guys wanting to kill me. And that's what he sent to me.
And then he went missing.
Nemo, what sense does it make for the police to say there is no evidence of foul play? He didn't dismember himself.
Yeah, that was a very poor statement by law enforcement down there in Mississippi, because in 4 months, they really haven't been able to figure out what happened here. And at best, you know, you have wild animals and the body parts are scattered over 2 acres. But this is the type of case, you know, I'm Team Ben Crump. You got to get the feds involved here. You got to figure out what happened, because if Mom is right and he was really being chased by 3 truckloads of white men, and you have a potential motive here, you may have a hate crime, you have a murder, and if you can't figure it out, law enforcement, you got to get feds involved so they can.
Yeah, I'm getting really Ahmaud Arbery vibes here, and I'm not liking it. Terry, law enforcement said they are waiting for the results of search warrants to rule out foul play. What do you think they're searching for at this point?
Well, you know, the statement that he made to his mother, and that's in a text, so they can take a look at that, specifically named the individual he thought was behind this truckload of white men, he said, in the community chasing him. So that's where they need to start. They need to investigate and interview that particular individual. And frankly, as far as I'm concerned, they need to track his phone, they need to track his car, they need to do GPS, and they need to check any of the individuals he may have communicated with, because that's going to tell us what happened to the victim on this day, because we know that he couldn't have decapitated himself.
Terry, you barred in Mississippi? We should send you there to start the investigation. I think we'll wrap this up pretty quickly. Well, another family begging for justice in the death of their child. It's been more than 4 months since Janquella Robinson died in Cabo, Mexico. Her family is demanding the U.S. government step up and get involved. Robinson died from severe injuries to her head and spine after an apparent beating. That contradicts the initial report that she needed medical treatment because of alcohol poisoning. Videos shared on social media after her death appear to show Janquella being beaten. Her family believes someone traveling with her was the aggressor, and Mexican authorities agree. They issued an arrest warrant and claim they are working with U.S. officials on extradition, but it hasn't happened yet. So Robinson's family is now appealing directly to President Joe Biden and Secretary of State Anthony Blinken to help them get justice. The FBI is reportedly investigating, but no charges have been filed. And in other news, the son of imprisoned reality TV stars Todd and Julie Chrisley, Kyle, is himself facing charges. He's accused of pulling a knife on a supervisor at work. 32-year-old Kyle Chrisley is charged with aggravated assault in Tennessee. According to police, Chrisley worked for Penske Truck Rental and got into an altercation with the supervisor, reportedly hitting him in the face and upper body. Chrisley also allegedly pulled out a knife and threatened to stab the victim. Chrisley turned himself in on Tuesday. His father, Todd, and stepmother, Julie, are incarcerated separately as they serve out multi-year sentences for fraud. They were convicted of obtaining fraudulent loans to pay for their lavish lifestyle. Kyle Chrisley has a court date scheduled for the end of the month. Coming up on Law and Crime Daily, Netflix was hit with a defamation suit for one of their most watched documentaries. Why a former detective says the series got the story all wrong, and what a judge ultimately decided. To finish off today's show, we want to talk about Netflix. The media giant just won a defamation suit against a retired detective that involved their hit series Making a Murderer. The 10-part documentary aired in 2015, covering the story of Wisconsin man Stephen Avery. He spent more than 2 decades in prison for sexual assault, but was exonerated in 2003 with the help of DNA technology. 4 years later, he would be once again convicted and sentenced to life in prison alongside his nephew, this time for the 2005 rape and murder of a female photographer. The docuseries raised speculation about the case's local law enforcement and if there was a possibility that Avery and his nephew could have been framed. As a result, former detective Andrew Colburn sued Netflix for defamation in 2019. He claimed that the series misquoted and misrepresented his testimony through editing, making him falsely appear nervous and uncertain. On Friday, a U.S. district judge ruled in favor of the series and 2 of its filmmakers, concluding that Colburn did not prove they acted with actual malice against him. Nima, why does a suit against an officer have to show actual malice? And was the judge right to not find any?
Brian, the judge was right. If you're a police officer and you're a public figure, you're entitled to less protection than you would be an ordinary individual who's just working in private. So, we saw this with Johnny Depp, and a public figure doesn't mean someone has a blue check mark on Instagram or TikTok. This is someone who's acting and puts himself or herself out in the public. And malice requires actual knowledge of the truth or reckless disregard. You got to meet that higher standard to win a defamation case, and the sheriff here just was unable to do so. So the judge got it right, sided with Netflix on First Amendment grounds.
All right, blue check mark or not, you still got to prove actual malice. Terry, do you think this defamation case will have any impact on the film industry moving forward?
I do, and I agree with Nima. The judge did get it right here. Netflix had every right to do this story, and as long as they did their research, as long as they gave both sides an opportunity to speak, there should be no defamation claim here. Now, in a normal defamation case where there's not a public figure, you just need a false statement. There should be some negligence there. You should have some injury as far as the individual claiming that he was defamed or she was defamed, and then you can actually bring the case forward. I think in the future we're going to see so many documentaries, and you're going to see that they're going to be very careful about how they do it. And the very nature of a documentary is it's supposed to be a true story. So in those instances, you don't have as much leeway as you might have in a movie or something based on a true story. So good thing that the judge ruled in the proper way here, but I definitely think that any person who is developing a documentary is going to be a little bit more careful not to be sued.
Actually, Nima, I got a few more seconds. I want to throw this question to you. What if this wasn't a public figure? What if there was no need for actual malice? Do you think this would have ended up differently?
Potentially, yes, but let's talk about these documentaries and how important they've been. Bob Durst brought to justice because of a documentary. R. Kelly documentary. Britney Spears freed from her conservatorship because of a documentary. I mean, judges are, they're ordinary human beings, and they're going to say, look, is this going to have a chilling effect, or are these documentaries doing a public good? Are they doing something good for our criminal justice system? And I think they are, Brian.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. Don't make any documentaries about me, though. I don't need to get any kind of trouble. Yeah. Well, Nima, Terry, thank you very much. And thank you for joining us here on Law and Crime Daily. We'll see you next time as we discuss justice in America.